Hello, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Save More with Energy Efficiency. We want to welcome you to this session of the Chamber to Community Back to Business NWA Series. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, I'm Karen Wagaman, Vice President for Downtown Development with the Rogers-Lowell Area Chamber of Commerce. This new virtual series was created as a response to requests from our member businesses, and they were seeking tools and tactics to help navigate through the COVID-19 pandemic. But it has a lot of viability for all types of small business applications. So this session is being recorded, and we will be adding it to our C2C playlist on our Chamber's YouTube channel, and that will give you the opportunity to either watch it again, or if you have to jump off before we get done, you can come back and watch it or share it with your friends and associates. So now I'd like to thank our community builder sponsors who are making this free series possible: Cox Communications, Chambers Bank, and of course Clear Result, who is providing our program today. And we have two presenters. Our subject matter experts are Leonard and Ted Weintraut. And over the next 30 to 40 minutes, they are going to tell you how you can save money on your utility bills and possibly qualify for free energy efficiency upgrades. Leonard is the Community and Industrial Program Manager for Clear Result, and he assists Black Hills Energy customers in changing the way they use energy. Ted Weintraut is our Program Manager at Clear Result, and Ted has been helping residential and commercial utility customers save energy for over 10 years. He holds a Certified Energy Manager and Business Energy Professional certification. And I think we're going to start off with you, Ted. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Well, I'm going to mute myself, and we thank everyone for participating, and we look forward to learning more about this process. I just want to make my own testimonial that I've used this process 2 times for my own home and for a rental property. And it's pretty astounding that all of this is free. So they probably don't call it free because I think the utility companies pay for it, but we are glad to learn more about it.
And we are definitely glad to have this opportunity to reach out to your audience. Always take any opportunity we can to promote these programs. They really are great and beneficial for the utility ratepayers that can take advantage of them. So this is the voice of Ted. My visual is not going to work, it turns out. I don't know what's going on with my camera. So I'll have a blank screen with my name in front of it if you're seeing any of everybody else's faces. But I'll be starting this presentation first talking about the AEP SWEPCO energy efficiency programs, and then Leonard will be talking about the Black Hills energy efficiency program. I, Ted, and Leonard both work for a company called Clear Result, which is a consulting company. We are privileged to be able to work with SWEPCO and Black Hills to help them implement these energy efficiency programs for their ratepayers in Arkansas. So I'll go ahead and jump right into this presentation. There is going to be information, contact information, phone number, website, I believe email address as well, where you can get additional information for all of these things that I'm going to cover here in more detail. But I will go ahead and kick this off. So real quick, this is the SWEPCO presentation. So what SWEPCO is, if you are unfamiliar, SWEPCO is an investor-owned electric utility company in Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas. Specifically today, we're talking about Arkansas because that's where we live, and that's also where these programs are available for ratepayers. It's owned by American Electric Power, and Arkansas has quite progressive energy efficiency policies compared to other states in the Southeast. There are actually other Southeastern states that look to Arkansas for guidance in these matters. The Arkansas Public Service Commission, based in Little Rock, works with the investor-owned electric and gas utilities, and starting back in 2007, mandated that utilities start to consider energy efficiency as a resource. So obviously, energy utilities would look at things like power generation or gas distribution when they're factoring in how they need to meet the demands for energy from their customers. And so starting in 2007, energy efficiency, or in other words, pulling demand off the grid, started to be considered a resource as well. So from the electric perspective, if it's more cost effective to reduce energy consumption than it is to build a new power plant, that should be the path that's taken. So that's kind of where these programs come from. There's going to be a lot of talk about incentives, is the word SWEPCO uses, rebates is the word that Black Hills uses. That is not federal money, it's not a government program. This is all, the program budgets come from ratepayers. So if you are a SWEPCO customer or if you are a Black Hills customer, that's what makes you eligible to participate in these programs. So SWACO makes both commercial and residential programs available for its ratepayers. Primarily, I was going to talk about the commercial pathways, small business in particular, but also provide some information about residential as well. There's some jargon that's inescapable. Whenever you start talking in specialized fields, I try to minimize the jargon as much as possible, but if I slip and I start talking about measures, a measure is basically an upgrade. So a measure would be a new air conditioner or a new furnace or LED lighting. And to give you a sense of, just on the SWEPCO side alone, for its Arkansas customers, the sort of incentive budget that's available, those numbers are not the numbers that the program has as its operating budget. That's the amount of money in the year 2020 that SWEPCO is trying to give its ratepayers back to help lower the cost of energy efficiency upgrades to businesses and to their homes. So from my perspective as the program manager of those top two line items, commercial and industrial and small business, it is my goal to give out that roughly $3.1-ish million this year. So I want you to call us if you have an interest, because we want to talk about your business. We want to talk about your home and figure out what sorts of things do these programs offer that you could take advantage of. So we'll go over the commercial pathways. Really, these are kind of two sides of the same coin. I'll spend most of the time talking about the small business pathway, but it has a counterpart, which is the large commercial, the commercial and industrial pathway. Before I get into the details of them, the only real difference between them is that small business is intended for customers at 100 kW demand and lower. Commercial and industrial is intended for customers with kW higher than that. And since the majority of non-energy geeks in attendance at events like this have no idea what I just said, that's entirely fine. There's not really any way that you would know that unless you are very studious about paying attention to your electric bill. The easiest way that you can find that out is if you can give us a call, shoot us an email, we can let you know what that is. That's basically in the hottest day of the year, how intensely you are pulling electricity off the electric grid. So if you are a smaller business, for example, a hair salon, there's going to be a different level of intensity than if you are, a 3-shift manufacturing plant. So there's a little difference in how programs are offered to those customers, kind of more tailored to the needs and what the most likely opportunities are for customers based on that demand. So my primary focus today is on the small business pathway. So that's for customers, non-residential customers under 100 peak kW demand. Again, we can help you look that up and determine if you're eligible for small business. So what does non-residential mean? It means everything that is not a single family home or a multifamily complex. So that is everything. So that's restaurants. It can be exterior lighting at multifamily complexes. A lot of times those are actually metered commercially, not metered residentially. Lodging, hotels, motels, offices, religious buildings, retail. Services is a pretty broad category, but it's auto body bank branches, daycares, hair salons, small businesses that aren't necessarily retail, and even some small manufacturing plants meet that definition. So what's available if you fall into this category? Small Business Pathway provides a network of authorized independent contractors who offer free, no obligation on-site facility assessments to help you identify potential energy savings opportunities. So along with that comes recommendations of what you could do along the lines of upgrades, estimates of energy savings from those upgrades, what sort of project cost might be associated if you were to make those upgrades, and what sort of a payback period you're looking at based on the energy savings you would see. Those contractors also install approved energy savings equipment if you're interested in pursuing a project. To make sure that we have good quality control on those, there are pre and post installation inspections to verify what's there existing and also make sure that what was installed was what was scoped to be installed. And the SWEPCO incentive is paid to the contractor as a way to reduce the customer's upfront cost. And so the way that works is rather than a customer participating in the small business pathway, let's say, do a lighting upgrade of their small business and then receiving an incentive check from SWEPCO several weeks down the line, that same SWEPCO dollar amount is provided as a point of sale discount on your invoice from the contractor. So you don't have to pay that money out of pocket to begin with. Those incentives are quite generous. In the instance of a lighting upgrade, last year we saw many of those done, and the SWEPCO incentive tended to cover between 50 and 80% of the project cost. And that's just to reduce the project cost. This is for something that's actually going to save your business money in the long term, so you have an ongoing reduction in your energy cost as well. So this is worth looking into. Small business pathway, these are some of the most common things that incentives are offered for. I mentioned lighting already. So upgrades to lighting controls, heating and cooling, so if that's air conditioners or heat pumps. There's a few things here that I'll go into a little additional detail on, just because they're a little specialized. So if those are things like cool Sabre air conditioner tune-ups, retrocommissioning light, refrigeration. There's a variety of measures that convenience stores and grocery stores would be encouraged to take a look at, because refrigeration can definitely increase your energy costs considerably, as well as some no-cost services like what we call direct install. So that would be things like weather stripping of exterior doors, which can be installed at no cost to the customer. And there are more things that you could take advantage of. The best way to do that is to start a conversation with us. There's also a list of these participating contractors that's available on the SWEPCO website. How the incentive amount is determined is probably something that you'd like to understand in a little more depth. For some things, those are fixed rate incentives from SWEPCO, but a lot of times they're actually based on your estimated energy savings. So in the previous slide, I mentioned that the participating contractors offer on-site, no-cost assessments. Part of that is to identify, if you were to do ABC, what sort of energy savings are you likely to see given your business and its runtime hours and things of that nature. For many of these things, the incentive is actually tied to those estimated energy savings. So the more energy you're likely to save, the higher the incentive amount would be from SWEPCO. So one of those that I mentioned is called Cool Sabre air conditioner tune-ups. That is a specific sort of air conditioner and heat pump tune-up that is meant to kind of go a little more in depth than what you might traditionally see from what's considered a tune-up. The goal is to improve the cooling output and efficiency of your central AC unit or your heat pump by up to 30%. There are pretty substantial incentives offered by SWEPCO for this, so depending on the size of your air conditioner or heat pump, you're looking at between $225 and $800 per air conditioner. So this is something where an HVAC contractor is cleaning your condensing and evaporator units, making sure that the airflow going around the blower motor is also clear, so you just don't have obstructions. And that if there's any adjustment needed to your fan speed or your refrigerant level, they take care of that as well. Basically, the point is to take an existing air conditioner and get it back to functioning as well as it was when it first came out of the box. There's no paperwork to complete. The signature on this is actually digital. And if you had a business that has a large number of air conditioners, you'd like tune-ups done on all of them, the contractor is able to give you a report based off the diagnostics that they do on every single unit. So if you don't currently know how many air conditioners you have, or which ones are in the worst shape, which ones are in the best shape, even which ones take which sort of refrigerant, just so you know for your own information, That's kind of a secondary benefit that in addition to the incentive, in addition to the improved performance, you actually can get an inventory of what you have at your building. Likewise, with other things, we have a list of participating contractors we're happy to direct you to. Refrigeration, this is a really good upgrade for convenience stores and grocery stores that I mentioned, but really any sort of business that has refrigerated sections. So we're looking at walk-in coolers and freezers, specifically with this. Gaskets and strip curtains are basically just ways of making sure that that air you are trying to keep at a quite cool temperature stays at a cool temperature, even when the door is open and when the door is shut too. I mean, on your home refrigerator, you have gasketing around your freezer door and your refrigerator door. And if something's keeping that open, you know that's just going to run and run and run. And also it's going to ice up, which is no fun to deal with. So there are incentives to help small businesses have this installed, up to $4 per linear foot for a gasket around refrigerator doors, and up to $15 per square foot for a strip curtain to be installed. So you can kind of get a sense from the size of these dollar amounts to help customers afford these upgrades, what the potential energy savings are, or how great the potential energy savings are if the electric utility is willing to provide that much money to help encourage customers to take these steps. Once again, there's a list of participating contractors that offer this. And then Retrocommissioning Lite is something that would be available for slightly larger customers. This is more or less a building tune-up as compared to what I mentioned earlier, Cool Saver, which is an air conditioner, just a single unit tune-up. If you have more complicated HVAC or lighting systems that are centrally controlled, this would be a way of looking at and tuning up their existing operating conditions. There are actually incentives available for both just identifying if there is opportunity available at your site, and then following that, additional incentives for making those upgrades. You'll see a lot of this. Contact SWEPCO for a list of participating vendors. Pretty much for all of these, there are partners, contractors, engineering firms that are interested in offering these to SWEPCO customers. And so we have contact information for all of those, and we can provide you with a referral. Last but not least, it is always a good idea to consider upgrading lighting if that's not something you have done already for your business. Sometimes, as great as the small business pathway is with lighting projects, you might not want to replace the lighting at your entire building or your entire business at once. There might just be one main sales area or a limited number of lights that you want to make at a time. Maybe you want to do things in multiple phases, and you're trying to do it kind of as quickly as you can. There's an alternate way that you can receive incentives for things like lighting, variable frequency drives. That would be if you're upgrading an air handler or possibly even some small manufacturing fan or pump equipment. And we just now started offering this for air conditioners and heat pumps as well. If all you need is to go get 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 things, and you're not really looking at getting a big project, to make the process for receiving the SWEPCO incentive as minimal as possible, these midstream incentives are point of sale discounts that are available at the point of sale through the vendor. So you would not need to contact a contractor and have them come out and talk with you about what sort of recommendations they might have for your business. It might be as simple as going to your local lighting supply house, knowing you want to get 10 more LED fixtures, and you walk out 10 minutes later, and there's a discount provided on your invoice from the supply house by SWEPCO, and you completed no paperwork, you signed no form, but you got your discount from SWEPCO right there. So that's another kind of an easier way to go about it if you're looking at recurring maintenance or a smaller project. Again, we've got a list of participating vendors, and we're happy to provide those referrals to you if you would like more information on that. To give you kind of an example from last year of a property owner that took advantage of the lighting, retrofit, and the Cool Saver air conditioner tune-up offerings from the small business pathway. This property owner did both. This is on 5 small strip mall properties. Did Cool Saver tune-ups on 4 5-ton air conditioner units. So the combination of all of that, they got, if you're an energy geek, it's exciting, 58,000 kilowatt hours of annual energy savings. But really, since we're talking about financial savings, those upgrades produced $4,709 in annual utility savings, the customer received $9,370 from SWEPCO as incentives. And again, those were all point of sale. Those bought down the initial cost of the investment. And what would have already given the customer a 2.6-year payback had there been no SWEPCO incentive was brought down to a 0.6-year payback. And those things such as air conditioners or lighting, they're going to continue to provide cost savings over what had been existing for the remainder of their useful life. So in this case, you're looking at a 0.6-year payback for lighting that's anticipated to last 10 to 15 years. Real quick, I did want to mention, at least in passing, that there is a commercial and industrial pathway that's available for larger customers, so larger retail, office buildings, schools, hospitals, manufacturing, in case anybody who's in attendance has a business that might fit that description or know of someone who might be interested in taking advantage of that. Very similar to a small business. This can be a little bit more hands-on, where there's actually engineers who might be able to visit the customer on site and walk through, which is done at no cost, courtesy of SWEPCO. That has to do with the fact that a lot of times these facilities tend to be of such size and complexity that they can take a kind of a custom approach, that it's less cookie cutter, just because you have different configurations of equipment and different site-specific needs. So this is a similar slide that goes over the larger program, the commercial and industrial pathway. And you'll see that there's just a lot more things that have been identified. And that just has to do with the fact that there can be a lot more complexity with chillers and larger, more industrial refrigeration, compressed air that you don't typically see in smaller businesses. But the thing to take away is if you are a SWEPCO customer and you have a business and that business has SWEPCO service, regardless of how big or how small it is, one of these programs is available for you to take advantage of, and we encourage you to give us a call and explore what opportunities might be available. And just to show that there's not really any upper limit that these programs can take advantage of, I previously gave the example of a few smaller strip mall properties. This is an industrial facility that took advantage of the larger program. And in the interest of time, I won't go through all of the details, but they received $63,988 from SWEPCO in incentive for insulating hot oil tanks they were using in a manufacturing process. And so again, just having done that, that was going to save them $1 million or 1 million kilowatt hours annually, which is going to be a 1-year payback. But with the SWEPCO incentive factored in, that brought it down to a 0.2-year payback. So not only is this worth investigating and considering for your business, SWEPCO offers quite generous programs for its residential customers as well. I know Karen's taken advantage of it as well as I have. So not just from a professional standpoint, but from also a customer standpoint, it's definitely worth looking into. So there were a few offerings available for residential customers. The first is called efficient products. And so this would be point of purchase incentives that are available for appliances and things like LED bulbs. And so, for example, here there's a list of retailers where you can find instant discounts that are available from hardware stores and box stores and even online. And then there's another list here of other efficient products that have those instant buy downs available. So things like air purifiers, clothes washers, dehumidifiers, hybrid water heaters, smart thermostats, advanced power strips, as well as a list of partner retailers where these are available. And it's pretty telling to see from all of these sorts of incentives the impact that they can have on your home or your business energy usage by the fact that your local electric utility is willing to help subsidize the cost and make it that much more affordable for you. Kind of the pinnacle of the residential offerings is actually something that you'll see in the Black Hills slides as well, as a service called Home Performance with Energy Star. Energy Star is probably something that you're familiar with, that you've seen on sorts of things that I just mentioned, like clothes washers, LED light bulbs, things of that nature. This is actually a home service that's Energy Star rated, which is an EPA and Energy Star marker. This is an air sealing, duct sealing, and weatherization service that's offered by SWEPCO and all investor-owned electric and gas utilities in Arkansas. That would be why it's going to be on the Black Hills slides as well. So even if you're a SWEPCO customer who does not have Black Hills service, or a Black Hills customer who does not have SWEPCO service, you're still equally eligible to participate in that. So at least from the SWEPCO standpoint, the eligibility requirements are that you're a SWEPCO residential customer. It needs to be owner or tenant occupied, single family home or duplex. Home has to be at least 10 years old, or the highest electric bill of the last year needs to be higher than 10 cents per square foot of conditioned space. The home needs to have been occupied for the previous 12 months and not participated in a utility weatherization program in the past 5 years. But if you meet those criteria, then this home performance with Energy Star service is available at no cost, zero cost. There's nothing that you pay out of pocket whatsoever. It is completely covered by the utility companies. It involves a comprehensive energy assessment. So that includes a diagnostic blower door and duct blaster test. If you're not familiar with what those are basically ways of making sure that you don't have excessive energy costs because your house is too drafty. You can think of it that there's a magical Goldilocks amount of air that needs to be moving in and out of spaces. You don't want things too tight. You don't want things too leaky. So a blower door is assessing where your house is in that spectrum. And if it's too drafty, then they can take measures to tighten that up so that as you're heating and cooling your house, that hot and cool air is not immediately escaping outside. Duct blaster is similar, but it's basically making sure that you don't have ductwork leaking in your attic or in your crawl space, so that as your air conditioner and your furnace are running, you're getting the full benefit of everything it's producing. And another really important thing that home performance takes care of is the safety of any gas appliances. Since it might involve tightening up the air movement in your house, they take into consideration whether you might have kind of an atmospherically vented gas water heater in your hallway utility closet. Well, they want to make sure that if they tighten your house up, you're not going to backdraft your water heater. So they've got pretty strict protocols that they follow to make sure that there's no harm done, that you can have your cake and eat it too. So that would be the air infiltration sealing and the duct system sealing that they take care of. In addition, if you have less than R12, which again is meaningless unless you're an energy nerd like myself, but that basically translates into 4 inches of insulation in your attic. If you have less than that, they can actually increase it up to R30, which is 7 to 8 inches of insulation in your attic, and that's again done at no cost. All the while, they have the ability to do some what's called direct install, which is no cost installations of things that you might be interested in, such as advanced power strips, LED bulbs, and energy efficient faucet aerators and shower heads. So if you're not sold already, this is worth something. This is worth getting on the waiting list because there's definitely enough demand for this service that it's worth going ahead and calling and seeing what the availability of contractors is to deliver it. It is really a great service, and it's hard to beat with no cost. This is an example of a project that was done within the past year with all of those things that the contractor did: air sealing, attic insulation, duct sealing, LED light bulbs, and a smart power strip. That home is estimated to save over 4,000 kilowatt hours of energy a year, realized $452 a year in cost savings. And that's just on the electric side. And this was a $1,400 cost that was paid for by the utility programs. Instant payback, no dollar amount required from the customer at all. And to wrap up our presentation, there are some additional residential offerings available. These are more kind of unit or purchase specific incentives that are available. I mentioned Cool Sabre air conditioner tune-ups previously in the small business slides. Those are available for homeowners as well that are on SWEPCO lines. So that's up to $250 per air conditioner tune-up. There are also incentives available if you were to purchase new air conditioner for your home, or heat pump, a pool pump, a smart thermostat, or upgrade your windows. Per unit, they have dollar amounts here, so some of those are listed. To give you one final example of what that looks like, a customer who installed a high efficiency heat pump and Energy Star windows would be saving around 1,100 kilowatt hours of annual energy savings, saving around $113 on their annual utility savings, this is on the electric side, and they received $630 from SWEPCO due to all of the energy efficiency benefits from all of this. This is actually the same house that previously did the home performance service. So here you have both projects combined. They're saving $657 a year in utility savings, and they received over $2,000 for their home from SWEPCO to help make these improvements more affordable. So if you weren't aware of these programs before, I would strongly encourage you to visit the website, which is swepco.com/ARSaves. And you'll see there at the top that there are residential, commercial and industrial, and small business sections. So you can find the information that's most relevant to your home or your business. And I'll leave you with our contact information on the SWEPCO programs for the URL, for the phone number, and also for our email. It's really worth taking a look into, seeing if there might be something there that's worthwhile for your business, and we're happy to talk to you. Feel free to give us a call or send us an email.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that, Ted. And now we're going to turn it over to Leonard, and he's going to talk about the Black Hills Energy portion of this presentation. Oh, Leonard, unmute. Leonard, you're muted. There.
Okay, is that better? Got ahead of myself there. Again, thank you for letting us take the time to join this webinar and talk a little bit more about our programs. I'm trying to share my screen. Multitasking is not my greatest. There we go. I'll get there, I promise. Okay, is that working better? Can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Again, I'm Leonard Tidian with Clear Result. I work mainly on the Black Hills Energy Efficiency Program, working with our commercial and industrial customers. I want to mention Lisa Fitzinger, who works for Black Hills. She's the manager of the Energy Efficiency Program. I believe she's on the call, so she's more than likely going to reach out and jerk my chain if I say something wrong. And then also we have Bob Schlimmer. I don't think Bob was able to join us, but he is the manager of our residential commercial program, or residential energy efficiency programs. I usually like to start off with a little bit of the good news from 2019. And this encompasses all of our programs. So down at the bottom are the two residential sides, home energy and the residential rebates. But as you can see, we saved just a little over 1.2 million therms. What's a therm? It's the same as what you're building, which is called a CCF, which is 100 cubic feet of natural gas. So, you know, you can look at your bill and do the math on that. But basically, we've avoided about $1 million in energy costs for our customers, both commercially and residentially, in 2019. The really good news on that, though, is the greenhouse gas emissions have been reduced by the amount of, you know, about 1,458 cars taken off the road, or driving that 16 million miles a year. So, you know, not only is it helping customers save energy, it's also helping us protect our environment a little bit. Ted talked a little about the home energy assessment, and yes, it is available through Black Hills Energy if you're just a Black Hills customer, or if you're just a SWEPCO customer. If you happen to have both, you know, we're going to partner alongside it and do everything we can to get you all the benefits that we can out of the program. And one of the biggest things that I looked at when I first came on with Black Hills Energy was our residential programs. I wasn't really familiar with them. And to see that a typical house loses about 20% or more of their conditioned air through leaks, or just holes or poorly connected ducts, you know, that's a huge comfort savings as well as a financial savings when we can come in and seal those ducts up, or seal the windows around your home or the doors. And also the insulation, you know, that's another big plus. Like Ted mentioned, the more you know, we all know that heat rises. So the more insulation you can have in your attic, the more you're going to trap that heat in your house where you're needing it and where it's doing you the most good. So, you know, again, home energy assessments are great. The blower door test, if you've never seen one of those done, it's kind of eye-opening to, you know, you may think you have a really, really tight house, but when they put that door, it's really just like a screen door that goes in front of your main door, and they take some air measurements, both pre and post, And it's kind of eye-opening how much, you know, the little cracks around your windows and doors are letting air out. One thing that we're working to adopt recently is what we call a virtual assessment, where we don't actually have to come into your home to do that first assessment. We can actually get with the customer on a virtual application that we have. We can walk you through the home, show you what we need to see, and we can really help understand your home a little bit more and help us understand just what you might be available, what incentives, what rebates, what programs might be available to you. So look more for that in the future as we really start ramping that up so that we don't have to enter your home as many times. There may still be a post assessment that we have to do in person, but we're trying to get where we can do that online as well. So good tools come in the future. Again, same thing with SWEPCO. Who qualifies? They've got to be a valid Black Hills Energy Arkansas account. Your home has to be 10 years old or older, have had continuous gas service for the past 12 months, not have participated in another weatherization program, as Ted mentioned. So we also offer some residential appliance rebates. Tankless water heaters, for example, you get $300 off one of those. All these rebates are, you'd have to fill out an application. There's some instructions on the application sent in to us, and then we will actually send you a check for that. Natural gas forced air furnace, 95% or higher is $400. You know, a good thing about this, if you do a furnace and a water heater, we'll also give you a $100 bonus for doing the two of them. And we also do a smart thermostat, where if you just tell us you bought the thermostat, send us a copy of the invoice along with the application, we'll send you a check for $75. In a lot of cases, that'll almost cover the entire cost of that. One of the things we're kind of toying the idea with is maybe we can use our virtual assessment tool to help you understand whether you have a smart thermostat or not. And if not, we may even be able to come online and help you in hooking that up. Switching gears a little bit to the commercial equipment rebate program, we do offer tankless water heaters for $500 rebate, as long as they're 90% efficient or higher. Also, natural gas forced air furnaces, 95% or higher, would do a $500 rebate. And then we also have some prescriptive rebates on commercially used equipment like combination ovens, convection ovens, high efficiency fryers have been a big help for us. We also get into the commercial boilers. Some of those rebates can be quite extensive. We've done several with our schools last year. I want to say that Rogers School District, we gave them about $6,000 or $7,000 towards one boiler in a new school. And they also replaced some in another school, which we provided another substantial rebate for. So if you're using boiler heat, then give us a call. We can definitely help you. I just spoke with a customer last week who had put in 2 high efficiency boilers, wasn't aware of the program, but unfortunately they were too late to get a rebate on them. So platforms like this help us get the word out. One thing Ted also mentioned, we do offer what we call a natural gas energy efficiency assessment. That's where one of our engineers from Clear Result will actually walk through your facility with you. They'll look at all the equipment or the processes that use natural gas, boilers, steam system, ovens, water heating. We'll provide you a report, talk about what your needs and your operation schedules are. That report will go into detail onto some of the measures that we think we could help you with. The recommendations will be kind of a laundry list that you can actually pick and choose from. So we'll provide you what we think are the estimated costs and the estimated benefits of taking advantage of that measure. And then you can work with us to pick through what you have the capital to do right now. We also offer the direct install, which is weather stripping or weatherization items. Most of the time that is at no cost to the customer. So if you've got some of those big roll-up doors that you've got gaps and air leaking out, if the space is heated by natural gas, we can come in and tighten those spaces up for you. And again, no cost to you. We have a gentleman that will come out and do the assessment on site, schedule the work with you. They do some really great jobs when out there. Just a few quick examples of what we were able to do last year. This was a food processing company. Again, this was kind of the snapshot of the report out that we've given them, and they were able to pick through their laundry list of what they wanted to see done. So they actually ended up doing most of these measures. Their capital outlay was pretty close to what that incentive was for the year. We worked on some steam traps with them, fixing the steam leaks, a boiler replacement, doing some insulation on piping. This was through our custom program, so we were able to walk them through all the steps needed, just one by one, to where they got their rebate, and actually started saving quite a bit of natural gas. 214,000 therms at an industrial rate is somewhere around the $100,000 to $150,000 a year savings. So quite a good project for them. Oh, slides quit working on me. We worked with another smaller poultry processing company in the area to do kind of the same walkthrough audit report of their facility, come back with some recommendations. And as you can see, we were able to fully fund all of the improvements they needed to do so that they were not out any capital, just an immediate payback. But as I like to tell everybody, it's not all about steam. Steam is one of our biggest energy users in the industrial side. But we do a lot of little things with some of our other businesses. If we done a project where they had an air compressor sitting outside, the heat that generated was just going to the atmosphere. We helped them install some ductwork that took that heat into the conditioned space when they needed it. We've also done oven controls where we've went in and helped them put updated advanced controls on their ovens. And I'm sure everyone out there's got a tower melter out and can use some help in adjusting the burners for that, or some insulation on it. But again, I know I went quickly, but I think Ted covered a lot of the residential stuff that we offer. I would say that, the best thing to do is call, get on our list, be ready to go. Go visit our website, blackhillsenergy.com. Pretty easy to remember. You'll see a efficiency and savings button. Click on that. You'll click on your state, and it'll show out all the list of the rebates we have, both commercially and residentially. You've got all the numbers you need there to get in the program, get on the waiting list for our residential programs. And with that, that's pretty much all I had. Like I said, I think Ted talked a lot more about the residential side, so I'm not going to dive into that too much. But again, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it, and we hope that you'll give us a call. Let us help you save some energy.
Well, thank you, Leonard. And I think we may have a couple of questions. If we do, feel free to either text those or unmute yourself and ask them. I have one question. If it's a commercial property, does the owner of the building need to make that request for the audit, or can a tenant who's paying the utilities make the request?
If you're talking about for the Black Hills side, the tenant can make the request.
Okay.
Yes, and ditto for the SWEPCO programs.
Okay, well, that's good. And then one other thing, when I had my audits done, I can't remember exactly how long it took, but I basically let them in and I went back to work. So I just turned them loose in my house. I turned them loose in my rental property and had no concerns about that. They were just very respectful. They took great care of the property. And all the communications before, during, and after by phone were wonderful. So I want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
That's great. Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I guess that's worth pointing out too, is that from a user experience perspective, you can be as involved or as uninvolved as you would like to or are able to be. So, I mean, if you're having that home performance done on your home, and you want to be there every step of the way, they probably won't let you operate the blower door. But other than that, I mean, you can really get a vivid understanding of what it is they're doing. But it's pretty non-invasive. So if you have other matters that you need to attend to, then they'll let you know what they find.
Yeah, I hung around long enough to take pictures and share on social media, but then I went to work.
Awesome. We like that.
2 thumbs up. We'll take that every time. That's great.
So, well, and so gentlemen, can we get your slides and send those out when we send out the YouTube link? Do you want to send those to us as well?
Yes,
Sure.
I'll go ahead and send those. Leonard, would you like, I can send yours along with mine. I want to make sure
Yeah.
that I have the most up-to-date slide deck.
The one you emailed earlier was my most up to date, so it's good to go.
Well, that's great. Well, I just want to thank both of you gentlemen. We appreciate you, Leonard and Ted, for sharing your knowledge and your passion about this subject. So I hope everyone on this call not only takes advantage of it, but also shares it with their friends and coworkers. It's a wonderful program, and all those benefits that are free to us save us money.
You summed it up great.
Yep. Thank you so much for the opportunity. This has been great. I really appreciate it.
All right. I'll send everybody the links probably tomorrow. So thanks so much.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.